Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenaye, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenaye.
All right, for those that are watching, this is a joint podcast between the Maryland Crabs and Ion Annapolis. And
no flashy intro to this one.
No. We've got to sort of calm things down a little bit. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking to about 10 people about primarily small businesses and COVID-19, figure out what Maryland is doing, what the county is doing, what the city is doing. We're also going to speak with a couple different businesses that have been affected in different ways and some organizations that are actually stepping up to the plate to help out both the businesses and, more importantly, the people that have been impacted.
While maintaining our 6-foot distance.
That's true. We've been maintaining a 4-mile distance.
We do that anyway, though.
Yeah, typically we do.
Yeah, we stay away from each other as much as we can.
Anyhow, joining us at 12:30, we're going to have Maryland Comptroller Peter Franchot. We were working with the governor's office to see if we could get Governor Hogan to come on, but unfortunately CNN had more pressing ideas for him, and certainly that's where he needs to be to get more information out to the public than we certainly could ever do in our wildest dreams.
That's not a can-do attitude, frankly.
Okay. It's not. But following Comptroller Franchot, we are going to have County Executive Steuart Pittman joining us. He is currently doing a live town hall, and he will be joining us right after that. And then finally, we're going to have Annapolis Mayor Gavin Buckley.
Gavin.
And beyond that, then we're going to look into 3 organizations that are doing something for the small businesses as well as some of the people that are laid off. That would be Emily Garvin from Maryland Hall. She is the acting executive director. We're going to speak with Monica Alvarado from Bread and Butter Kitchen, who's partnered up with a group to feed those people that need to be fed. And finally, in that aspect, we're going to be speaking with Scott Shelton, who is the pastor at Heritage Baptist Church, about their pantry and what they do have to offer. Then we get into talking with the businesses, and we are going to be speaking with who's on our list for today. We've got Evie Turner from Main and Market, which is one of my favorite breakfast spots in town. Sadly, it is closed. We're going to be speaking with former Ward 5 Alderman Jared Littman from the city of Annapolis, and he's with K&B True Value Hardware. Denise Pearson, who is the owner of Paradise Float Spas, and then Jeff Jacobs, who is the owner of Carroll's Creek Cafe, which is also closed at this point as well. And finally, as we wrap up, we're going to be talking with Camario Ballantyne, who was a server at 49 West, and just to find out how this really has kind of impacted him as well. Other than that, that's sort of how it goes. If you needed some update on what is happening in COVID world, as of, and I would say as of now, but I would say as of probably about 15 minutes ago, because it does change that quickly. Worldwide, there are 284,566 positives, 11,868 deaths, with 89,891 recovered, which is encouraging.
And the positives, people got to remember that those are the people who are tested. That's what we have to explain, is that in several cases, if we increase the testing, you're going to increase the numbers, obviously, but the infection rates are probably much, much higher. And people are walking around who are contaminated, who are infected right now, and they don't have any symptoms. But so it may not be that it's on the rise. It may be that this is the baseline, but we just don't have the testing right now.
No, without a doubt. And the U.S. is far behind on the testing as opposed to worldwide as well.
Yeah.
So
I think we've done as much testing in total as like South Korea does in a day.
Yeah. The U.S. numbers are very quickly increasing as more testing comes aboard and as we are identifying more positives. We are now just behind China, Italy, Spain, Germany, and Iran in the number of cases. Right now, nationwide, 19,624 with 260 deaths and 147 recovered. There is a long way to go to move that 19,000 into the recovered column for sure. Here in Maryland, updated as of this morning, There are 190 cases. There are 2 deaths, a Prince George's County man and a Baltimore County man. Both were in their 60s and both did have underlying medical conditions. Sort of an anomaly, there has been a 5-year-old that has been diagnosed with the COVID-19 virus as well, and they did say that it does not affect children too much. Well, it does. So,
well, and most of the infections are between the ages of 20 and 59 right now.
Yeah,
it's infecting men at twice the rate that it's infecting women, and they don't know why. And that could just be the whole causation correlation thing, that maybe men are not heeding the social distancing or what have you. But that's a question that's in the air right now, is why is the gender differential?
Without a doubt. Anne Arundel County, we currently have 15 cases here in Anne Arundel County. There have been no deaths. And just in Annapolis last night, and I don't know whether this would be considered the city proper per se, but the U.S. Naval Academy did announce that they did have a civilian employee that did test positive for the COVID-19 virus. That person is resting at home, and they are, making sure that, find out who they've been in contact with and everything else right now as we speak. A couple things that you may want to keep in mind. The Anne Arundel County Health Department does weekly town halls on Facebook Live. They're at 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, and they are obviously archived on their Facebook feed, so you can catch them anytime. And I will say that I'm going to mess this up again. Colin Araman.
Take your time.
Dr. Colin Araman is a great resource.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time for you mangling the name.
And I've spoken with him twice. We've done 2 podcasts with him. Go give them a listen. But he's kind of used to me mangling his name, I think, at this point. But, boy, what a great hire.
It's not disrespectful if you just do it all the time.
I guess so. That's a great hire by County Executive Pittman there. Lots of great information there. The County Executive also does do a live town hall on Saturdays from 11 a.m. till noon. That's also aired on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. And, Governor Hogan does the press conferences when he can, and those are also available on the governor's Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter, etc.
So much information overload, though. My daughter had a meltdown last night because she said the TVs are always on in the house. It's always on news. And she goes, I can't take this anymore. And she just melted down about it. And I think there's so many sources of information, and all of them might be valid, but it's just the information is moving so slowly that it's just over and over. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's an awful lot of things. I mean, one of the key things I want to mention is just remain calm. I mean, we're all in this together, and we're all going to get through it. It's just a matter of when and when and how. But we are doing it. I did speak with somebody in Paris that was
your Ami?
Yeah, actually, she's a great friend of mine from about 20 years. She lives in Eastport, and she's on a long-term business assignment in Paris. And, I think of this quarantine is just being like the worst thing in the world. I think of people coming to your door and padlocking your door and you're locked in. And she said it wasn't quite like that. They actually print out certificates when they want to go out. They can go to the grocery store. They can go walk the dog. They can go out and jog and get exercise. They do require you to maintain the social distance of 6 feet. And she said they are fining people that are too close. But it's, you need to go out to do something, or if you need to go to work, if you need to go to a doctor's appointment, you just print out a certificate, and you can be stopped on the street by the police or the military, and they'll say,
want your papers?
Yeah, they want to see the certificate. They want to see your ID, make sure that the two match, make sure that you're in the neighborhood that you're supposed to be in. And,
Yeah, when you talk about shelter in place, it's a scary phrase because you just think about you're stuck with your family in your house and you can't leave, and that's the vision you have. And you're like, if this comes down, are you stuck with the food that you have? You can't go out. But from what you're telling me, that's probably not going to be the case. Because let's be honest, we may be looking at that.
It is, and I think that's probably coming a little bit sooner than later. And I don't expect Comptroller Franchot to opine on that, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see that come down.
But he's my hero because now we can get alcohol delivered to our homes. That was awesome. That's the bright spot in the week. We should do that anyway. I don't know why we're waiting for a pandemic to do that.
I think the government at all levels is finding out that there's an awful lot of bureaucracy that can be done without once you get rid of that. I mean, on the federal, on the state, and local, county and the city level. The
guys at Red Maryland were saying that the other day. They're saying that when we're dropping all this bureaucratic rules and this red tape for this pandemic, why do we even have that in the first place? I agree with them on that. This just shows you what's really unnecessary. Like we should have alcohol deliveries all the time. That way I don't have to be ashamed every time I go into the beer store. Or as often as I do. I can just discreetly pull up to my house with the unmarked car.
That's it. Just sort of drop it off there. Well, we are waiting for Comptroller Franchot to give us a shout. And I think that, for anybody that's planning to call in, just sort of keep a listen to this podcast just to sort of see when we're wrapping up. We're going to try to keep everybody to about 10 minutes because I know everybody is either busy trying to, get things done on the government level or to, certainly make sure that their businesses are as viable as they possibly can. The businesses, we were talking about this before the podcast. It's not the big business. It's not Wall Street. It's not the NASDAQ or Dow because that's going to be fine over time. It always is. It takes time to recover, a year or two. And I think we'll recover quickly after this and as far as Wall Street. But it's the small businesses that are just killing me. We went to Little Italy on Forest Drive last night, and he was actually doing a great business. But every single person who came in to order from him to pick up their food, everyone asked how business was. So everyone really cares about how the smaller businesses are doing. And he's going to be fine. I think businesses like that and the pizza places and the places that do a lot of takeout anyway. I'm just worried about like a lot of the downtown restaurants. And someone had a good point, too. They posted on the Eastport forum the other day. They said, hey, I'm glad everyone's thinking about the restaurants and worried about the restaurants, but don't forget that there's other businesses as well. Okay. Hello.
Peter Franchot.
Comptroller Franchot, how are you?
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your day of trying to figure out what Marylanders are going to be doing and speak with us. And we're really kind of addressing everything on the business level. And I know that you've been pretty instrumental in making sure that some of our local small businesses have been kept open.
Well, exactly. I mean, this coronavirus, and thank you guys, is it, let's see, who am I speaking with? Is it John?
I'm sorry, this is John over here, and Tim is over there in the yellow hat that you can't
Excellent.
see.
Yeah, I've been told not to joke today.
This virus is bearing down on Maryland like a tornado, and it's going to happen in the next week to 2 weeks. We're going to have, unfortunately, sadly, a lot of death and destruction. And it's going to be like a tornado coming at night and leveling a town, and then we get up the next day and we look at all the damage and we start to deal with the after effect, which is how we get back to normal. So first priority is obviously public health. We want to save as many people as we can. All I can say is it's going to be not just like a tornado, it's going to be like a tornado and a hurricane all wrapped up in once coming through the state. We'll make it through, but there's going to be a lot of public health concerns, and obviously I'm very supportive of Governor Hogan because he's been clear and rational and candid in his directions to people to protect their health and safety. But we're talking at possibly 25% unemployment, 25% drop in state tax revenues, and just a complete assault upon tens of thousands of small businesses. So what are we going to do about that? We're in talks with the administration about things that would be helpful and can be done now simultaneous to mitigate some of the economic consequences of this public health emergency.
Well, what specifically has, I know that you have relaxed, obviously through the governor and the legislature, some rules regarding the sale of alcohol. You've been a big advocate for the distilleries, and I noticed that the distilleries are really stepping up, and they're now converting their lines. Instead of producing, vodkas and rums, they're looking to produce hand sanitizer, which is great to see Maryland coming together to fight this. But from a business standpoint, what advice do you have for a small business today, knowing that the situation is going to change as soon as we hang up the phone?
No, my advice to small businesses are, look, number one, we really appreciate you. 83% of the state's economy is attributable to small and medium businesses. And they are obviously the backbone of the state's economy, and they are philanthropic friends of ours, and they employ our friends and neighbors. I would urge every small business, including the thousands of small businesses that are right now contemplating closing their doors and never reopening because of the situation that exists right now, where we essentially have a shutdown of the state's economy. I would advise them to sit tight for a couple of weeks. There's obviously going to be a lot of federal bailout money that will come down at some point in the unpredictable future to the state, all of the states, but the state of Maryland, obviously, because of, we've got great representation. So that's one thing, but I wouldn't count on that. I would look to the governor and, frankly, other entities in the state to come up with something that it will be some version of what I call a small business payment holiday. And the concept there is in order to save, and I'm not talking about a small number, we have 175,000 small and medium-sized businesses in Maryland. So in order to head off bankruptcy for tens of thousands of them, I'm suggesting that temporarily we have a timeout on their fixed costs. They should not have to pay their bank loans. They should not have to pay their utility costs. They should not have to pay their landlord payments and other things, other fixed costs. I'm sorry about that. And as long as the emergency is in place, all the restrictions that are turning our main streets into ghost towns. Now, I'm not upset with the public health requirements. I'm highly supportive of Governor Hogan. But as long as those emergency restrictions are in place, every restaurant threatened with closure, every bar, every, frankly, small business. I just saw a WBAL story about Saison Jewelers on Main Street in Annapolis.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
This is something that is, coming from no fault of the small business community alone, obviously, but it has the potential to, once we have gotten through the virus stage, we may be in a situation where literally just so many small businesses, I can't even begin to describe it, are closed and unable to reopen. So the idea of a payment holiday would be for 1, 2, or 3 months, say to the through some kind of executive, whatever it is. You have a holiday from having to pay these fixed costs. Use the money and the cash that you have to sustain your business as far as once we get back to normal. Make sure if you can keep your employees, you keep them. Make sure if you can keep your door open for certain hours, do that. But it's really a message from the state of Maryland that we understand the importance of small businesses. We appreciate what you guys do, and we want to maintain the strong economic bones that we have in the state, and we don't want you to close permanently.
Mr. Comptroller, so one question I have looking at long term is that, if we can get these small businesses, through this tough period and, get most of them to survive, which is our goal, what does this do to the tax base, looking forward for, the general fund in the future with Maryland? Because, if we're 20-25% of the economy, you're talking about, let's say, a good 6 weeks that revenues kind of, commerce.
The governor has predictions that show an 18% drop in the in tax revenues from states around the country. Ours could be significantly higher than that, depending on what happens as far as the public health situation. Everything is hinged to getting ahead of the virus and making sure that our hospital system's not overloaded and that we're actually able to treat folks who are sick and track people who are testing positive, et cetera. Somehow getting on top of this I know they call it flattening the curve right now, which basically is a kind of let's socially self-quarantine ourselves so that we can stop the contagion of the disease. A long-winded way of saying, whenever they get the disease under control, we need to have these businesses able to reopen, and they're not going to be if they have to go into debt to pay their mortgage and pay their rental fee and their utility costs, et cetera. So back in March of 1933, Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared a bank holiday. That was a different issue because people were racing to the banks to take all their money out, and it was a huge financial issue. So he declared a bank holiday where they couldn't go and get their money, and after a week, people began to have confidence in him, and they came back and started putting their money back into the banks. This is not a bank holiday. This is a small business payment holiday that's needed in the state right now. And it can be done, I believe, fairly quickly, as in early next week. Don't know if all the details can be worked out, but if it is, that would be my suggestion for how to avoid all of the destruction of small businesses that I'm sure you guys hear about it now, and even in Annapolis.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Well, I tell you, I think your advice is probably very sound to turn around and hang tight for a couple weeks if you can, and look to see what
That's the message. We're not going to forget you. We're going to have your back, small businesses. Don't. If I were a small business, I would not count on the federal government because, all the big guys are there at the trough and they're going to, be first in line, and it's going to take forever, and you'll probably have to fill out a 10-page, personal statement or something in order to get in line, and even then it'll be weeks and months. This is what I'm describing as something that can happen on Monday.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'll tell you, Comptroller Franchot, we've got
tell them we're trying our best.
Well, absolutely. Well, we've got County Executive Steuart Pittman is going to be calling in just a second. Thank you very much for your time. Keep fighting the good fight, and hopefully we're going to start hearing some better news coming out of the federal government, the state government, and our local government as we all get through this together.
Thank you, guys, for all the great outreach you do, and sorry to filibuster you.
No, this is great.
Not a problem. Take care.
Thanks, Peter.
All
right, bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, now we're going to try County Executive Pittman. Do you want to give him a call back, Tim?
Let's give him a call back. Let's crank call him. Just hang up.
Yeah. It's been our secret way of getting all these hotshots phone numbers.
Hey. Oh, yeah. I heard that.
All right. If anybody wants it, it's 410-500.
Yeah, I was hoping it was, I thought it was Mr. Pittman because I didn't want to be calling back someone talking about my car lease.
Right.
County Executive Steuart Pittman, thank you very much for joining us this morning. What we're talking about is business here in Anne Arundel County. We just got off the phone with Comptroller Franchot, and
it was not a rosy picture.
Yeah, no, I appreciate him being honest. I appreciate Governor Hogan being honest. I mean, it's they're not sugarcoating this. It's not, it was just one guy from China. No, it's a real issue, and we're dealing with it. And I've said it before, and I don't know, you were still on your town hall, Mr. Pittman, but Dr.
Kelly and Ireland.
Yes,
thank you.
Best damn hire you've made.
Thank you.
He needs a raise. I don't care how much he's making.
He does not need a raise.
when this is all over, and he needs a beer.
Not many folks in county government have been getting much in the way of raises this year.
Oh, that's for sure. But
so the good news continues, huh?
Yeah. Well, what is the county doing as far as businesses? Where do we stand on the business standpoint? And obviously, I think I want you to touch a little bit about all the wonderful work that your health department is doing and the information that they're putting out as well.
Yeah. I wish I have a meeting scheduled with their economic development team, a virtual meeting on Monday morning. But Ben Burge, our CAO, met with them earlier in the week, and they are on the phones talking and listening all all day, every day, trying to hear as much as they can about what people's concerns and fears are. I mean, I think it's been pretty widely publicized that they're doing loan forbearance on their loans that they have with businesses, and that they're the go-to place for the SBA economic injury loans that the federal government has announced. Maryland got notified Thursday evening that we were approved for that. All of the counties put in information. It was all sent in by the state together. So we identified a handful of businesses in the county that had a story to tell. It was not hard to find them about the economic impact of this crisis. So that money should start being available soon. And I understand it's first year, no loan repayments, interest rate for businesses of 3.75 and nonprofits for 2.75. But they're the ones who can help people get through all of the loan applications.
Well, I'll tell you and as far as your health department is gone, I mean, you guys have been on the front line of this. I mean, obviously Governor Hogan jumped out on this in front of pretty much everybody else in the country, I think. Mm-hmm. And you guys were, I hate to say like riding right on his coattails, but boy, if you ever needed a time to do it, this is exactly when it happens. And I think.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The Governor Hogan has been great, and what we've done in addition to the county work that you see is that I get on the phone every day with the big 7 county executives, and we talk about compare notes about what each county is doing because we're on the ground getting the services out, and then we communicate back to the governor's office. An interesting side note, I don't know if you know this, that just I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, the governor assigned former county executive Steve Shue to be the liaison with counties. And so that's been good because he's somebody who's been in our shoes. And so he's the person who we take things to. And there have been things like the mall closures. We had been on the phone talking about our discomfort with malls remaining open. Right. Howard had closed them already. They could easily become a place for people to convene, and so the governor responded right away and made that happen. So it's been working the way it should work. But I do have to say that the tricky thing about this response is that everybody is desperate to try to help the public, and we have to stay lanes and stick to a structure of information flow. If everybody called me or if everybody called Dr. Kalyan about everything, we'd never do anything else. And that's why we've opened the Emergency Operations Center here in Glen Burnie and the Joint Information Center within that to have a central place for calls to come in and information to go out.
Well, I know that you have a webpage, aacounty.org/coronavirus, which sort of has the links to everything that you really need. And that's that procedure and in those traffic lanes, if you will, that you're talking about, in addition to aahealth.org, which is pretty much the medical end of this and the virus end of this as well.
You can get to either from either. So everything is co-linked. And we even have now the phone bank is linked. You can call one number. And it was that you would call that health line. And then the health line was getting a lot of questions about it had nothing to do with health, but had to do with economic impacts and other county agencies. And so we've got a phone bank here at the EOC, and you can call that, and they'll forward you to the health if it's a health question. They'll forward you to agencies. You can donate through it. You can volunteer your time through it. So can I give you that number?
I would love it.
Okay, 410-222-0600, and there's a team answering the phone. There's also an email that where your information will get shipped out to the appropriate agency or even nonprofit if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, or if you have a question, and it's eoc@aacounty.org.
Fantastic. I'm just writing this down so we can put that in the show notes and everything else so we can all have it there. Keep up the good fight. I mean, it's a tough time for everybody. And
you guys are killing it.
I think the parks being open is a huge thing, to be able to get out and safely distance ourselves from everybody. I've gone for several rides at Quiet Waters, and it's just been a great head clearer for me.
Yeah, that was an idea to waive the park fees that actually came in during last week's weekly virtual town hall, and came in on Facebook. And by the end of the town hall, Rec and Parks had already been in touch with our people, made a plan, and we were able to announce it right away.
That's fantastic.
Some of the good ideas actually come from the public.
And your town hall is every Saturday from 11 to noon, pretty much and Facebook is the best place to catch that?
Yeah, we're doing it Facebook Live, but it's also on the Anne Arundel Community Television cable.
Right, and then I think you throw it up on the Anne Arundel County TV YouTube page afterwards. I don't think you go live there, but
yeah, so people can watch it afterwards. They can watch it on Facebook afterwards as well. But yeah, just through the Anne Arundel County, aacounty.org, it'll be up there fairly shortly on YouTube as well.
Fantastic. Well, again, the best resources for Anne Arundel County would be aahealth.org, as well as AnneArundelCounty.org. No, AACounty.
Everything is at aacounty.org.
aacounty.org/coronavirus. That page that you've put up is actually very good. It tells exactly what the county has done, what the county can do, when they did it, and so on and so forth. And
and there's lots more coming as well. There's a page that just went up today that is organized by resource, by need. There's a map going up of food distribution areas. There's a lot of good work being done to get information out.
County Executive Pittman, I appreciate your time today. I will let you get back to running the county, and we will, I'm sure, be talking a little bit later.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing to get the word out. The press is absolutely essential for keeping people informed.
Thanks, and we promise not to send out your phone number.
Wow.
A lot of people have it already.
Take care. Thank you. County Executive Steuart Pittman. And
we got people circling the airport right here. So let's get Gavin. We're going to Mr. Mayor, we've been texting. So it's text buddies.
There you go.
Hey, Tim. Hey, John.
Hey, Mr. Mayor. Hey, sorry for the delay, but John screwed everything up, and he's putting us way behind schedule.
That's okay.
As he always does.
Anyhow, how are you?
Yeah, good. It's a tremendous amount of coordination you guys are doing there, so good job.
Well, we're trying, and one of the things that I somewhat noticed, I hate to say, and I don't mean to say this in a bad way at all, but the city, as the sort of the lowest rung of government, if you will, is kind of left out of a lot of the policy decisions that really guide this larger fight of COVID-19. But as a business hub in the county, and we're so dependent on tourism and small businesses, you guys have really jumped out heads and, what's the word I'm looking for? Heads and tails, not heads and tails, but leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. As far as looking after the small businesses, you've been doing your curbside chats, talking about businesses that are open, what to do. You've got the updates from the Emergency Operations Center.
Because virtually the whole city is small business. There's not many big businesses here.
No, there's not. And you guys really are on the forefront of, trying to make sure that the small business remains viable here in Annapolis, certainly, and I would certainly say the better part of Anne Arundel County. And I got to say, you guys are doing a really good job.
Thank you. Small business, is the backbone of our economy here. We just lost our biggest driver, which is the Naval Academy. And so, we feel the need to sort of provide resources. We understand that, mandates get handed down to us, and we have to respect those mandates and obviously enforce them. But most of the cleanup, most of the mop-up on the ground is done by local municipalities. We don't have any other choice. So Monday's decision, which was a necessary decision, put thousands, tens of thousands of hourly workers on the street. The economic crisis that we're looking at could have much longer lasting effect than the health crisis.
That's the one that we were talking about that before the podcast. That was what worries me more than anything is the economic impact of this. as far as small businesses and people who are hourly. I mean, I think maybe as a tourist town, we have a disproportionate amount of people who fall into that category, and that worries the hell out of me.
Most definitely. I mean, we've seen a hotel completely closed now. I've tried to make it as easy as possible for small business to operate here. We immediately stopped doing any kind of shut-offs of utilities. We reached out to BG&E to make sure that they were doing the same thing. We deferred licenses. We want to be a partner in helping the community get through this. We made it easy for restaurants. We know if people aren't going to the restaurants, they aren't going to the retail shops. So, whatever tiny bit of help we can do, we definitely are doing it. And we have a really good team of people here who are just grateful to be working in this time. I can tell you the amount of people who showed up in the city has been so impressive, and the organization is really a fantastic thing to see.
Well, speaking of keeping the restaurants open, I know that the governor has relaxed pending local jurisdictions the alcohol rules as far as being able to take out a bottle of wine or something like that from restaurants. Now, has the city relaxed those rules as well, so a restaurant could effectively sell a to-go bottle of wine?
Yeah, we definitely did that straight away. I was almost too relaxed. I said, the only reason guys go out to pick up takeout is so that we can have a drink while we're getting it, right?
So you're not breaking any stereotypes here.
But that kind of doesn't gel with the governor's mandate that you can't consume alcohol on premise. I didn't want people to be consuming anything inside the restaurant. I wanted them to be maybe 1 or 2 tables outside for 10 minutes while you were waiting. But that outside cafe area would be considered on premise, so we can't do that. But you definitely can take away containers as long as they're sealed. And so that means, you can go off-site. You have to observe, obviously, open container laws. That's against the law. But any little bump that we can do to the businesses to just help them. A lot of these restaurants are staying open just so they can pay a few key employees, just so they have some kind of cash flow through this. I can tell you, I'm sure no restaurants are getting rich here. Some businesses are doing great, and I'm happy that liquor stores and grocery stores and even some of my friends in bike shops say there's been an uptick because people are looking for some way to exercise. Gun stores is a little bit of a worry for me. Yeah,
for sure. Well, you've got a bunch of resources up at annapolis.gov. You just go to the main page and they're right there. And one of the greatest ones that you guys have done, and your MIS staff has been working obviously overtime to do that, but there is a interactive map where you can click on, search for your restaurant by name.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Or actually search by, hey, what's the name of that restaurant up at the corner of my block? Click on the little red dot and it'll tell you whether they're open, whether they have carryout, whether they've got delivery, whether it's through Grubhub or Postmates or whatever it may be, their phone number and their website. And that's just a great resource for people that are looking to get something and help the small businesses.
The staff were great. They just pulled that together in a day, which was awesome.
That was what I want to give her credit for that.
Anna Young?
Anna Young, yeah, she put that together.
Did she?
Yeah.
Her team. That was it's a great tool. And I mean, as we go through this, we find that more and more organizations and more benefits, not benefits, that's the word, but assistance to businesses as well as the people that work for them are becoming available. And I can't think there's anything worse than being in the service industry, and whether that means that you're a housekeeper in a hotel or a front desk clerk or a server in a bar or a restaurant, and you're just going around doing your job as good as well as you can, and boom, the next day you're shut down. There's no notice. I mean, it's not like a business is struggling and, hey, gosh, we can't make payroll this week, and you kind of know that. I mean, this just sort of came out at it.
And I think one of the things in terms of hospitality workers is that Mark Rodriguez coming back on board is a big help because some of the communities in hospitality, Latino population really needs somewhere to turn, and it's great having him back on board for that.
Well, and the other thing too is we also got to look at is obviously the restaurants and the service industries tend to be the front of mind, but there are so many other small businesses, and we're going to be talking to a couple of them a little bit later, but that aren't necessarily service oriented, that are struggling in a big way. And Comptroller Franchot had suggested that don't give up on this point. Let's just see what's available to do this. But that's also very difficult for a small business to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm encouraged by the Bank of America decision that they're going to modify mortgages and loans and enable people to call the main line and put payments on the back end. I mean, that is going to have to be what everybody does in this country, because if you don't have cash flow, no matter what business you have, you've got no way to pay your bills. So if the utilities are stepping in line, if the municipalities are stepping in line to help, and I'm telling people, if you have landlords that can't work with you, I want to know who they are. Good. Because this is no time to not help, and we have to be kind during this time. But I also really want to say that Annapolis, as disastrous as this is, we're in a good place. This is not Chicago. This is not New York. This is not San Francisco. We already have scale and almost social distancing in the fact that we're not a huge metropolis, and so we have the benefit of that. So sheltering in place, still the San Francisco model at least means that you can still go out, exercise, which we are encouraging, get vitamin D, stay strong, do that. We have a small city that it will be a good place to be in this time.
Absolutely. Well, I will let you go. I know that you've got a lot on your plate. I know that you've got some conference calls scheduled for the rest of this weekend and everything else. So I think that we will let you go. I think for the folks that are in Annapolis City, Annapolis.gov is a great resource. Residents of the city and nearby in the city, check out that map that they've put up there as far as the restaurants go. And, let's all get through this together.
And what you do is so important, because if we communicate, if we talk to each other, we can assure one another that we're working on it together. And I think that's going to be the key. There's nothing worse than people not having information. So I commend the governor with his press conferences. County executives doing a great job. And we know, and you've probably heard me say this, but this is a time where we've got to put politics aside and religion and individualism and nationalism. None of that matters if we don't get on top of this as a planet,
And we're going to do it together. And we're going to come out, stronger at the end, but we're not sure when that's going to be.
June.
That's right.
June. What have you heard any guesses to the end of this?
No. I mean, when we look around the world, it looks like, it's not weeks, it's months, right?
Right. Well, Mayor Gavin Buckley from the city of Annapolis, I thank you very much for your time this morning. I guess it's this afternoon at this point.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Get out, have some fresh air, as you recommend everybody does. Clear your head a little bit, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Gavin. We appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me on. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Did we get Ms. Garvin calling in while we were on the phone or not?
No,
yet?
we didn't.
No, we didn't.
We got my kid calling to say they're hungry.
Okay, well, that's
because
fine.
They're helpless.
That's fine. I have to realize that we're on Facebook Live here, and so making faces is probably not the best thing to do here. I need to make sure I don't do that.
Didn't even notice.
Yeah, there were a couple. Hello.
Hello.
Is this Emily?
This is actually Katie Redmiles. You are stuck with me today. Emily is working on
stuck.
Maryland Hall business, and we spoke this morning, and she asked me to take the call.
This is not stuck. This is great to talk to you, Katie. How are you?
I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Good. Well, okay, so I'll officially flip the page there, and
it's like in Broadway today. The role of
it's perfect. A perfect segue to the arts thing.
Right.
What we're doing is we're shifting. We've got out of the government discussion on small businesses in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County through this whole COVID-19 thing. And we wanted to talk about to some organizations that are really coming together and trying to help out the the general community. And I've got to say that Maryland Hall came out with a pay it forward program late this week, I guess it was, that made so much sense to me that we wanted to talk to you a little bit about it and find out, what we can do through Maryland Hall to help the greater community and the greater business community.
Still have her? Hello?
Oh,
Katie?
sorry. I'm here. Yeah.
He doesn't position these things as questions. He just trails off at the end.
Gotcha. So we have our team put together a gift card initiative. So this kind of was the brainchild of us looking at each other. When do we ask the community for help, and how do we do it? And my coworker, Damien, he had made a personal pledge to buy a gift card to Preserve for every week that they're closed, because that's his favorite place.
Yeah.
And so we kind of blended those ideas and decided, let's ask our supporters to purchase gift cards to their favorite place. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. It could be a bed and breakfast. It could be a boutique, anything local, and send it our way. And we will auction it off in September at our annual Arts Alive fundraiser. So it's a way to kind of benefit everyone, get some much needed revenue to our local businesses, and help us out when we are going to have some big fundraising needs when we do reopen.
Well, and one of the things that you do point out, Katie, is that it's not just, obviously there's a big push on, restaurants and bars and whatnot, which are immediately the most impacted. But as we go into the next phase of this, there may be several other businesses that may be equally as impacted, other small businesses. So you've got, little, like you say, boutique stores. You've got stores that are selling clothing. You've got, the mayor mentioned bicycle shops. Yeah. You've got, all sorts of different businesses that may indeed be closed or reduced hours, and to be able to buy a gift card or a gift certificate and give it to Maryland Hall. And one of the, the beauty about this thing, I think, is that when I give it to Maryland Hall, it's a tax deductible contribution, right?
Yes, that's right. And we double check that.
Nice.
So we will be sending a thank you card and a tax receipt to anyone who sends a gift card to us. Just bear with us because we're not able to get our mail every day, but we'll be working on that as quickly as we can.
So you're helping a local business and a local organization, and you're getting a tax refund for it, tax deduction.
Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world, because when you go to Arts Alive 312 or whatever it is this year that you guys are celebrating, that it will be a that $25 gift card will be purchased for $50 probably, as the economy is recovering and everything else, to be able to benefit Maryland Hall. So you're really helping two organizations immediately, relatively. One immediately, one in the short term, and then when it's redeemed in the long term. You're probably not going to spend $25. You're going to probably spend $35 or $45, but you're going to continue to help that business recover as they come out on the tail end of this.
Yes, and I would say, at Maryland Hall, and we're really feeling this a lot right now, we support a lot of organizations, so we're kind of the hub for working artists in our community and the performing arts. So we're all hurting, and we're all trying to come together and be as creative as we can right now to kind of get out of our comfort zone and put things online that we always felt like could only work in person. But we're all, pushing ourselves to be as creative as we can, and that's what artists do.
Pivot and react, absolutely. And one thing I just want to mention about Maryland Hall that many people may not know is that you guys are owned by the Arundel County Public Schools, and that may not be the correct term, but it's that you are a public school building that
we are,
that needs to follow the directions of Arundel County Public Schools. So when they are closed, you are closed, right?
That's correct. So we follow their guidelines, and it's really actually a benefit to us to have that support and guidance. And also it means that our wonderful custodians have been working every day this week, literally cleaning every single surface that anyone would or has touched in our building, so that we know when we do reopen, it's going to be as safe and healthy as possible.
There is a guy that needs a medal, or a girl that needs a medal that's doing that, because that's
absolutely
great thing. Well, I'll tell you, Katie, thank you very much for your time. Good job on Maryland Hall, and to do it, buy the gift cards. You want to mail them in. We've got it up on Annapolis, but you mail them into Maryland Hall, 801 Chase Street, Annapolis, Maryland 21401. And make sure you include your name and address and the amount of the gift card if it's not on there, because some of them don't have it, so they know exactly how much it is, and they will send you a receipt for it saying, hey, thank you very much for your charitable contribution. Is that right?
That's right. That's all you need to do. I will add a link in the comments so everybody has all the details. And the other thing, we're asking people who did buy tickets to cancel the events for our resident companies to consider donating it back. That's a small gesture that's going to go a really long way.
That'd be good, yeah.
That makes sense. You've already purchased it. I mean, the only thing you're out is seeing a fantastic show, but it goes a long way to help an organization that's struggling.
But Colin Hay is coming back, right? Because I am.
He is. Yes. That's the other. He is. No, that's the other. Great
I have
news.
tickets.
I've been
waiting.
Almost everything has been rescheduled. So we are working overtime to get everything back on the calendar.
Fantastic. Well, Katie, thank you very much for your time today. Try to enjoy the rest of the day. It looks like it's a pretty nice one, kind of sunny out there. Get out there with your puppies and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ooh, there was a beep. Okay, coming up next would be Monica Alvarado, who's the owner of Bread and Butter Kitchen. And I will be back in 1 second. I just need to do something really quick and to stop this irritating text that keeps coming in and go to another computer real quick and do that. So just talk about something, Tim.
All right. Well, here's something I did want to talk about, and this is anyone who has kids, and I think I fall into the same pattern everyone else is, that we're absolutely obsessed with the news and everything that's kind of coming through us from CNN and Fox, and we're all working from home. A lot of us are working from home. So I have the TV's on in pretty much every room with the news, and just to see all the press conferences. I watch Hogan every morning. Then I watch de Blasio and then or Cuomo, and then I watch Trump. And it's all kind of the same information, but my daughter just about had a meltdown last night because we were talking about at the dinner table what was going on, and she just started. Her eyes filled with tears. And she goes, "I can't take this anymore. You've got the TV on all the time. You're watching the news all the time. You guys are talking about it all the time." I think we just forgot what a huge disruption this is to the kids, and we've never gone through something like this before. So we're talking about it all the time, and we're all fascinated by it, kind of morbidly fascinated. We're all a little bit afraid, but I think we forgot how much this is impacting the kids because their schedules have been just massively disrupted. And they're in uncharted waters. They're not seeing their friends. They have no routines. And my mother's a grade school principal, and she just said that they're getting calls from psychologists all the time within the archdiocese because it's a Catholic school. And they're just talking about you really have to be cognizant of the fact that kids are really terrified by this. And we're casually talking about it around them. And to them, it's absolutely petrifying. So we've got to be really careful with that. And I've started turning off the TVs. We don't need the news. You can get everything, just get an hour a day. That's all we need. We don't need to be glued to it.
I agree. And I can't emphasize enough. I know that the CDC and FEMA has set up the rumor lines websites because there's so many different rumors that are going on around there that are wrong. I know yesterday there was a big picture going on about, look at the National Guard is occupying Baltimore.
Yeah.
They were photos from 2015 when they had the riots. Okay, so it was a different story. Yes, the National Guard is in Baltimore, but what they're doing is they're setting up temporary testing sites.
And stop posting stuff about friends of yours who have doctors or, that just stop posting those.
Yeah. My ex-husband's third wife's cousin's sister's brother has a doctor that was a roommate.
In fact, I'll go further. Stop texting about COVID. It's or stop posting on Facebook. We know it's there. Stop posting the advice. We know everything. At least we can get kind of back to normal a little bit online. I go to Facebook to escape a little bit of this and read your stupid posts and everything. I don't need
kittens and helicopters.
Yeah. Well, come on, Eastport Forum.
Just step up.
Go back to where you were. Bring the crazy back. I miss the crazy.
Step up. But no, seriously, look at good resources. Again, in Maryland, coronavirus.maryland.gov, aahealth.org, annapolis.gov, aacounty.org/coronavirus, or governor.maryland.gov/coronavirus. And certainly you've got the CDC as well as FEMA that are good national resources as well.
Yeah, but we're not getting any new information.
No.
If you think about it, we're watching the death count. We're watching the infected count go up and the death count go up, but we're not getting any new information. So there's no need to be glued to this. If there's something huge, you're going to hear about it. But I think we all got to step back from this.
Agreed.
And I'm just as guilty as everyone else. And we're going to talk about it now for the next half hour or so, and then we'll move on with our lives today. But I'm going to go home. I'm going to plant my gardens. I'm going to turn everything off. But we got to step back, because this is the long haul, and you can't sustain this level of just fear without being just mentally exhausted.
Well, I'll tell you, it does appear that we may have missed Monica Alvarado from Bread and Butter Kitchen.
Well, she didn't call.
Huh?
I don't think she called.
No, I'm just saying that.
Oh.
So I want to mention.
I thought you were blaming me.
No. What I want to do is mention the program that she's doing. And she's doing with ACT, which is an acronym for I don't remember. And we will put a link in the comments, as well as any show notes of this podcast when it gets put up there. But she has got partnered together with herself, which is Bread and Butter Kitchen. When they're open, it's a great place to go and sit and watch the boats go by in the harbor. Probably one of the best views in town. And several other different restaurants in town to actually raise money to pay the restaurants to cook meals for those in need. Okay, and when you define somebody in need, typically, 4 weeks ago, we would have been thinking about homeless people or homeless families that were food challenged. That's all changed right now. And, I mean, we have servers that are out of work that lived, paycheck to paycheck, which a lot of them do. And I was talking with one the other night who said, I don't live paycheck to paycheck. I live shift to shift. So you think about that, and you think what it would make a difference. And it's sort of a twofold purpose, similar to what Maryland Hall was doing, in that the money raised goes to pay the restaurants to prepare the food, and they're preparing it at a discount for this program. But that keeps the lights on at the restaurant or, the food establishment to do it. It keeps people working. Plus, it gives food back into the community for those that are certainly in a tight bind. And
I've talked to a few of the restaurateurs in town. Notably, I don't think he'll mind me saying this, but Bob Crone. He lives in my neighborhood, and he owns the Hideaway, and he owns Julep, which is up next to Outback. That's the new Southern themed restaurant,
formerly known as Bertucci's.
Right. And they, he says, he's providing food for a lot of his servers. Because he knows how tight it is, and he's worried sick about his people more than his business. And I think he represents a lot of people, who own restaurants that, they're worried for the business, but they're also worried for the people.
Without a doubt. So, be kind where you can. Businesses, again, I think you get out there, you find any local business that can offer a gift card at this point, and if you have the means to be able to afford it, do it. Maybe give it to Maryland Hall, save it for whatever it may be, but they're going to need the push right now.
And here's
who's on the phone.
This is Scott Shelton.
Okay, hey Scott.
Hey guys,
how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Last time I saw Scott, he was like running out of the house with like $20 of my money after a poker game.
Yeah,
that's right. Both of you guys. I don't know if Tim remembers it, but.
I don't remember the ends of our poker games. I remember the beginning and the middle, but I remember not having as much money going home as when I got there.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Scott.
No, I should thank you guys.
I was going to say the collection plate at Heritage Baptist Church was a little bit heavy that morning, I think. So.
That's right.
On the phone right now is Scott Shelton, who is the pastor of Heritage Baptist Church, which is right there on Forest Drive, sort of at like Cherry Grove Avenue. Is that what it is?
Yeah, kind of catty corner from Safeway.
Yeah.
Yep. So Cherry Grove.
And you are also another organization, obviously a faith-based organization that is really stepping up to help out those in need. And as we just mentioned a little bit ago, those in need is quite a different definition today than it was a month ago, a year ago, et cetera. And you guys operate a pantry, right?
We do. We have a food pantry, and we actually just did an expansion along with the Maryland Food Bank to allow more kind of food choice, more dignity and respect on that front. And so obviously this has shifted us a bit. And so now we're operating a drive-through food pantry and increasing our days that we're doing this. So it's Tuesdays from 9:30 to 11, and then from Fridays now from 9:30 to 11, that people can literally stay in their car, bring an ID, and we will get them food. And it's not meant, it's kind of a supplemental food pantry. And by that, it kind of helps overlay some of the SNAP program, which is what used to be called kind of food stamps. And so where we help supplement someone's monthly, weekly food needs for their family. So the way we're getting after this is adding hours, and we're constantly evaluating. If we need to add more, we will do that based on food we're able to get, as well as just, overall need. If the lines are long at 11, we're not shutting down at 11. You know what I mean? So if you're there, we'll figure something out, kind of thing.
And I do want to point out that you mentioned ID, and that is really just a sort of a governmental checks and balance, if I will. Isn't that right? So that you've got to show that you've actually distributed this food.
Absolutely, yeah. So there are different kinds of food pantries. There are some where it's all donation based, and they don't ask any questions, and that's wonderful. We leverage government food supply chains with the Arundel County Food Bank, as well as the Maryland Food Bank, which that's not government, but they give government food away. But in any event, we have to give account for people that are receiving the food. And so we try to make it as dignified as humanly possible, show the ID. If someone, the best example of this, if you show your ID and you say, I'm recently unemployed, boom, you're done. You don't have to sign a piece of paper at this point. There's no human contact because of everything going on. We have a incredible group of volunteers that are there to, it's respectful and dignified all the way through, which is a huge part of our food pantry. We want to make this easier, not harder, for people to ask for help.
Well, I think so. And then with this COVID-19, it really is a virus that knows no boundaries. And this affects black as it does white, rich as to poor, male, female. Wow. And it just really, so you don't know what the situation is. And I mean, this could be some type of a situation where you may have some food, but not maybe a staple. Maybe you need a box of cereal or something along those lines.
Have you seen an increase lately, Scott?
So we serve about 90 families a month through our food pantry. So we did it last Tuesday, and then we were evaluating, and we didn't want to add more and create chaos to our system, but we did a drive-through. So we learned a few things, and we're changing the operations up just a little bit. So the short answer is no, but I would actually give a ton of credit, and they deserve a lot of credit to our school systems and Dr. Alvarado and his team for the food program they're giving to our kids in our area. I've just been blown away by their involvement. And so I actually do think that some of that need is being supplied by kids getting 3 meals a day. And so I want to cheer them on in our government. I've loved watching our government take care of the most vulnerable in our community. And I give Gavin and Steuart Pittman and all of them a lot of credit for that.
Well, I think, as you mentioned, the school districts, and for those that aren't aware, there are 50-plus sites around the county. Most of them are at schools, but they do have about 17 or 18 remote sites where they actually bring hot meals 3 times a day along with a snack, and that is available to anybody pretty much, I think, under 18.
And they've done a great job communicating that, too. Getting a text.
If you happen to not be in school, then, well, you can still get a meal. You do have to bring the child that's getting the meal there. They have to be present. I imagine there may be some exceptions if somebody is sick or something like that. But so you're not able to go in and pick up, 50 lunches for the neighborhood or something like that. But the school district is doing a fantastic job on that. I'll have to give them credit. The other thing that you guys also have, and I know raising kids, through adulthood is expensive, but boy, certainly when they're little, and the diapers and the wipes and all of that kind of stuff. But you guys also do have a supply of baby supplies in the pantry?
We do. That not all food pantries do this, and so that's why if you're new to the food pantry world and you're needing some assistance to be able to identify what food pantry gives out what items. And so we give out frozen meat. We This is all part of some of the government food program. It's actually one of the strongest benefits of that, but meat. But we also have baby items. There is diapers, there is formula, there's baby food. This is, that's tight and expensive anyway. And so those are limited, but we do have the ability to get that to you if as we have supplies.
And Lee Hurt just posted a link to that in the comments if you want to find out more about what they provide.
Cool. Yeah.
Very cool. What is the best way to learn about the pantry? I mean, is it on heritagebaptistannapolis.org?
Well, actually, it's heritageloves.com. If you go to heritageloves.com and there's a food pantry tab on our webpage, and if you're interested in volunteering, if you're interested in donating, if you're interested in knowing the times, there's a form you can fill out, and that gets sent to us, and we'll get back to you just as soon as we can. So I know you're trying to keep it short, but one thing I want to say is, like, a lot of people want to donate items, but how the supply chains works is, like, we don't want you to, like, if Tim were to go in and to Giant and buy up all, the diapers and give them to us, well, that impacts our local area. We have a chain through the Maryland Food Bank and Arundel County Food Bank. So we're trying to rely on that supply chain and not impact, grocery stores. And so
Gotcha.
Money is a great way of helping, as well as, I would say, this is spreading the word, letting people know. If you know someone who needs it, man, I'll go with you. I'm going to stay 6 feet away from you, but I'm going to go with you and to come show up. You can show up on foot. We have all sorts of folks. We're on the bus route, and so you can come find us. But heritageloves.com and our food pantry tab there, and that should give you, it's pretty brief, but it's the information you would probably need to know at this point.
Fantastic. Now, it's Heritage Loves with an S on the end of it?
Yep, heritageloves.com.
Okay, great. Again, Heritage Baptist Church right there on Forest Drive is doing some great work together
Super
with
Bowl.
The Super Bowl with Maryland Hall, as well as Monica and the restaurants for the Bread and Butter Kitchen. So we appreciate everything that you're doing for the community. And I just want to sort of recount a conversation I had with the Salvation Army one time when I noticed a long time ago. I noticed a fairly new, probably $80,000 Mercedes coming up to their pantry or their kitchen and walk out with a bag of groceries. And I was just sort of somewhat taken aback. And again, that's my own little bias there. And he explained to me, he said, you don't know what anybody's situation is. He happened to know what the situation was. He said that, there's a guy that just lost his job. And right now it came down to, do we keep the house? And it was a temporary unemployment, but do we keep the house or do we eat? And when it comes down to that choice, and then it made it all perfectly clear for me. And right now we're in a situation where if you're a server, if you're any employee that got laid off, that you need to have a little boost. This may very well be a good option. Any of these may be great options to help you out. And
absolutely,
there's certainly no shame in it. I mean, we've said it time and time again. I mean, we're all in this together.
Yep. And just last thing, if someone is new to this world, they've recently laid off and they're having to make some of these really hard decisions, if they'll go to Heritage Loves and that food pantry, just write in the message you're interested in learning more about the SNAP program. The federal government is pumping money to that right now, so folks don't go without. And I can help get them set up with the right people. So I will refer them as needed to those things. So, and that will come straight to me. So like I said, we're in this together, and there's no questions asked. I should also say there's no questions asked. We're not trying to do anything other than get people food. We think this is our sacred task right now, and that's what we're going to do.
Scott, thank you very, very much.
Hey, thanks, John.
Thanks, Scott. You guys are doing a great job.
Hey, see you guys.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
I am like shocked. I keep it kind of on time.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah, we're only like a minute off here.
Yeah. So let's get. They called in while we were talking. Everyone's calling on the news.
Yep, we're going to call Evie Turner from Main and Market.
Yeah, Scott did hose us with that last poker game.
Mm-hmm. He's a shark.
Hey.
Hey, Evie, how are you?
Good.
Sorry, John, we went over because he can't wrap up.
This is Tim and John. We're here. Evie is with Main and Market. And what we're doing is we're shifting now into talking to different businesses that have been affected by this COVID-19. And you guys are a restaurant, and so obviously you have been impacted pretty significantly pretty early.
It happened quickly. Yeah. And
I mean, I remember eating my last breakfast omelet at the counter. And the next morning I couldn't. So it was. I know. It was kind of a it was totally a bummer. But what does this mean for you guys?
So, every day we evolved. We tried to focus on takeout, focus on family to go deliveries on the catering side. We started a market. That was our last ditch effort, turning it in the past 3 days into a market. I mean, we're still open. We have that until later today. But eventually, as of yesterday, we decided to temporarily close as we ride this COVID-19 out. So it really was a difficult decision for us to make. But to be honest, 10 days ago, the dominoes started falling because everyone in the catering division, everything canceled.
Right.
And we just can't continue to employ everyone in the building. So unfortunately, little by little, we had to begin laying people off or putting some people on furlough. So it's been really difficult. And then yesterday, we thought we would at least be able to keep a portion of the catering going, maybe doing the family delivery, but instead we said, let's close the kitchen completely, close the cafe. I'm still, we're still available by email to do consults and plan for the future and to talk to booked clients and look to the future because I think we have to.
Yeah.
But right now we just can't operate the same way we do. We just can't.
Well, you guys also operate two kitchens in that location at Main and Market.
Right. We have the kitchen for the line for the cafe, and then we have a catering commissary size kitchen for the catering side.
So it's quite a big organization, and you guys are also kissing cousins to a couple other businesses in town as well.
Correct. With
the Federal House, and
and they're closed.
The barbecue place, Speyside Bowl, right?
That's the best barbecue in town. You guys do a great Carolina barbecue. My daughter wants to be buried in that when she dies. She loves your Carolina barbecue.
She could probably pick up some catering shifts and get some barbecue.
But and this has got to be a difficult decision. I mean, and I know that you've got some wonderful employees that are just desperately impacted by this. And thankfully we're seeing different things that are coming around for them to be able to do that. We've got, food kitchens that have food. We've got donations that are coming in to be able to have prepared food for them. We've got organizations that are getting gift cards and trying to help you guys out with immediate cash flow as well as certainly.
It was pretty amazing. I mean, we had a lot of people just call, we want to buy a gift card. We want to save it for later. Just hold on to it, but then we're going to get carry out. I have neighbors that have been extremely supportive. But it's just it just isn't enough, unfortunately, to keep a baker, a chef, to keep everybody in the same place as it was before.
Sure.
We probably, laid off 39 people full time. So it's been a really, really rough week. And we feel really horrible.
We were talking before that for a lot of the restaurateurs, and we were talking earlier with Gavin, and it's not just the weight of the world as far as your business, but it's also, you worry for your employees. I mean, you can't help it.
That's number one.
Yeah,
that's number one. I mean, we have 100, and that's full-time in-house. We have our caterers that depend on us for the spring and the summer that are working, that are part-time, that are with us every weekend to make extra money to meet their bills. Mm-hmm. So even in the slow season, we had 105 employees in our slow season. So imagine what it would have been like in April.
Yeah.
And we had an amazing year forecasted. But, again, we were sad. I knew when, as I know I told John that we were catering Arundel Medical Center, Denim and Diamonds. I knew when I got that phone call that was the big sign.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. That was for me too. When they canceled that, and for anyone who doesn't know, the Arundel Medical Center has the Denim and Diamonds fundraiser every year, which is spectacular on any level. It's the biggest gala I know of in town. And when they canceled that just shocked me. And and like you, I thought, this is bad.
That's when I knew. And they couldn't in their right. I mean, they just couldn't continue. It's the hospital. They have to put their resources in other areas right now. So, but yeah, that's when we knew. And then slowly we had some weddings postponed. So the good news is a lot of customers for the larger events and weddings postponed, changed their date, kept their deposits on the books. And then we had a few smaller things that just had, they had to cancel. Not going to happen. People aren't coming over anymore. It makes sense. We have to do this. We have to get through this, and we have to get through it quickly by people staying home and not having parties,
right.
Unfortunately. But it's true.
Well, it is. It's the whole social distancing. Now, are you guys still selling gift cards online?
You know what? We don't sell gift cards online, but we have them available. If anybody emails us, we would mail it right out to them.
Okay.
And they can have it because we will be open. And they can use it in the cafe or catering or bakery when we reopen. What's
the best email address?
hello@mainandmarket.com.
Okay, and that "and" is spelled out, right? MAINAND
yes.
market.com.
And we will go ahead and take care of that and mail it right out to you.
All right. When you guys open up, I want the first omelet off the line.
You're going to be the first
Can we make that deal?
I promise. I promise. And we will be calling you to let you know our grand opening, our re-grand opening.
Well, here's to that when that comes down, and hopefully it's not too far in the future. And
we have to. Thank you. Stay well.
Thanks very much, Evie.
Okay,
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that's a lot of employees.
My stomach hurts.
And it is, as a business owner. I mean, I jokingly say that, one of the best times as being in business for myself was when I finally started working for myself and got rid of employees. I mean, they're the biggest hassle and they're the biggest asset you've got. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing a T-shirt shop on Main Street or a catering company or anything. They become like family. You're
your employer. You're their boss. But you can't help become close to them. They're kind of like a second family, no matter what you're doing. Yeah. I remember back in 2009 when I was working for a company and people were getting laid off, and you're wondering, what are they going to do? And you try and say it's just business. It's not. It's never just business.
No, when you've got an employee that's a jerk, that's just business.
Yeah.
Or if you think your boss is a jerk and you just quit and leave him in alerts, that's just business. But this is the thing that's devastating here is that you've got people that are going about their business, doing it as best as they can and as good as they know, that overnight, literally, they're closed. And it's just it's devastating. And customers, business owners, I mean, as you said, when 9/11, I owned travel agencies, and it was the worst thing in the world just to know that, I've got to struggle to make sure that these people have food on their tables. I've got 15 people that are dependent on that check every single week.
And that's the forefront of what you're thinking. And who we're going to talk to next, Jared Littman. He's a former alderman, Ward 5 alderman, owns K&B True Value on Forest Drive. And no secret, he's a good friend of ours. He's just at the forefront of the community, and he's going to tell us a little more about that now.
Hey, Jared.
Hey, Jared.
Hello, guys. How are you today?
Oh, great. Each day better than the last.
I guess we should.
It's been a great podcast so far.
I guess we should ask you. How are things for K&B True Value?
Well, thanks. So, Jared Littman, K&B True Value. We are open today, and we've been open. We've modified our store hours from what we normally do to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day of the week right now. But every other day we've been changing what we offer and what we can do. So that's temporary until further notice.
Well, I imagine this is you've been pivoting left and right as this all has evolved. You fortunately are not a restaurant that was shut down immediately, but you are a small business. And I will say that it's a small business. I've always said for years that you guys have all sorts of crazy stuff in there that you wouldn't necessarily think would be in that store. And you can be a good source for toilet paper or paper towels or
cooking goods, cooking pots, pans, all those things.
Different things. And as a hardware store, I mean, should we move into a position where we go into an essential business type shutdown or a shelter-in-place order from the governor? I would suspect that you would be open and essential. I mean,
top of the list.
If my pipes burst, I need to get to you. Obviously,
so far that's been the case in every state that they've done stay-in-place orders, such as New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, California, and then some cities like Miami. Wherever we've seen orders like that so far, they've exempted hardware stores because we're used to helping our communities in emergency situations. It's part of, it's what we do for a living and our careers, essentially. And for this type of situation, yes, we've gotten in lots of cleaning supplies, and we're doing our best to get in products from alternate vendors when possible, so we can keep people supplied with the things they need to get through this particular crisis, but also for some, keep their sanity while they're in their house too. But yeah, your light bulbs go out, your toilet breaks while you're in place. You need the stuff that we have to help you out.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed that you guys have really sort of had to pivot the way you do business. I mean, I know you've upped your delivery. Everybody has gone to this curbside delivery and the touchless delivery and different things. I mean, I can call Papa John's and they'll throw a pizza on my front step as long as I gave them the credit card to start with. So, I don't even have to interact with anybody.
Yeah, I got mulched yesterday and they said it's no contact, just it's in the driveway, no contact. And it was great.
We're trying to adjust as best we can. So we've had a website for a while. It's not the best website, I admit, and I've been working on an update. But it works, and that's at store.kbtruevalue.com. And customers can also call us, and we'll talk you through the order. We'll tell you what we have in stock. We'll pull the supplies right off the shelf that you need, ring you up right at that moment, and then give you the option if it's a customer that's within 5 driving miles and the order is at least $20, we'll bring it out to you for free, or you could come into our parking lot and we'll run it right out to you. And what we've also even told people is, because we are only allowing 20 guests in the store at once, just so we can enforce 6-foot personal distancing, is if you don't want to wait in line, you can actually go right to your car and we'll come out to you with a notepad standing 6 feet away and try to take your order as best you can. It's really to try to minimize the personal distancing that everyone's been trying to focus on.
I was talking to former Mayor Mike Panelides yesterday, and he said that he went to Trader Joe's, and he said they were doing the social distancing. They only allowed a certain amount of people in there, but he said, I waited more time in line outside, but when I got into the store, it was easy to breeze through because there wasn't anybody there.
Right. And we're seeing a little bit of that today. There's been just very short lines outside, and people have been very patient and understanding of what we're trying to do. And we're implementing new cleaning standards where, we've always tried to keep a clean store, but now we're doing disinfecting commonly touched surfaces every 2 hours. We're all wearing gloves in the store. I get, despite being able to stay open, which is great, I really am protective of the employees. I don't want anyone to get sick or be uncomfortable. And so every day we're trying to do our best, follow advice and follow best practices of what people are trying to do to keep our employees safe, to keep our guests safe, and still provide the essential needs that people are relying on us so that they can go on living their lives in a safe way.
I like the way that you refer to them as guests. It sounds like it's like Disneyland.
Well,
if you start calling your people cast members, I'm checking out. But
no, but that's partly why we limit our free delivery to 5 miles, because essentially within that radius, these are the people that keep us going and take care of us. And so we've actually cut off any deliveries beyond 5 miles, because I really want to be focused on taking care of our guests within our radius that we interact with. We know a lot of their names, they know a lot of our names, and it's a mutually dependent relationship, and that's where my focus is.
Well, one of the things that you talked about is the safety of the employees and whatnot, and then as an essential business, you're probably going to be open during the thick of this thing. Are you having a problem with? Our employees that are now working? A laid off employee can go home and isolate, and they can be relatively sure that they're either not being exposed to it on a daily basis. Do you have a problem with employees that are concerned about interacting with the general public?
That's a great question, and it causes me stress throughout this process. And it's not about me; it's about the employees. They're depending on their jobs, and like I said, the guests are depending on the supply. So we've had an extremely liberal leave policy for, first of all, anyone who has any symptoms like fever or cough. They're being told to stay home. We're trusting them that they have fever, and we're telling them to stay home for either 14 days or until they can contact their doctor, or not necessarily have a visit, but until their doctor gives them a doctor's note. So for anyone that has any of those symptoms. For the employees, and there have been a few that just aren't comfortable coming to the store, again, generous policies there too, letting them not work and be at home, and that their jobs are safe. They're not losing their jobs over this. And so for the employees that are coming in, we're just doing everything we could think of to be safe. And part of what we're balancing is wondering, cause I don't expect that hardware stores will be closed. So I do contemplate whether we should move to the next level, which is perhaps we should not have customers come in the store at all and only do this website, phone, and then in the parking lot orders and then free deliveries. And potentially that's the next step. But, the hard part is that there's no obvious and automatically right answer. And so I'm just trying to use my best judgment to talk to various people who I rely on for advice and make the best decision I can every day. And it's been different decisions every day.
But you've been killing it. You really have been kind of leading the way. You've been with concern for your customers and you're concerned for your employees. And I you and I are good friends, so I know that you think about this all the time and that you're trying to be as creative and as cautious as possible. And you should be commended for that.
Without a doubt.
I appreciate that.
Question for you. And again, I know you're going to correct me because I'll use the wrong term, but True Value is a franchise-ish type of a cooperative. So you are
a cooperative, not a franchise.
Okay. See, I knew you were going to do that, but it was called, for lack of a better word, it's a chain. You've got stores all over the world, perhaps, but certainly the country.
We're all independent retailers. So we all, like myself, I own this one store, and I have 4,500 friends that own their own stores. Some of them are small chains, 3, 4, 5, 6 stores, whatever. We all own a piece of the True Value company, who is our, in most cases, primary supplier.
Right. But my question, I guess, to you really and to your 4,500 friends that do also own True Values is there a concern about the supply chain moving forward through this? I know that you get checks every day.
Yeah. So I'd say we're all concerned about everything. But within the realm of what is happening and evolving, I'm not terribly concerned about the supply chain itself being disrupted. For the same reason that hardware stores are allowed to be opened, our distribution centers are allowed to be open as well. And so there has not been an impact in that sense. Whether we're getting all the products we want is another question. And like you said, we do get products just about every day, Monday through Friday, apparently Monday through Thursday. And so we're getting all of the cleaning supplies that people are looking for, toilet paper, almost every day. In some small quantities, because the distribution centers are putting limits on what each store can get so that they can get at least some products to as many stores as possible. So if I have an order off of 48 of something, I might only get 12 in today and then 12 in 2 days from now and so on.
When's the hand sanitizer? When's the hand sanitizer coming in?
Actually, I am optimistic I will get some earlier this week, not from True Value, frankly, but from an alternate supplier that I found for hand sanitizer. So no promises, but I'm hopeful this week.
See you 6:30 on Monday.
Yeah.
Jared Littman, KMB True Value on the corner of Forest and Hillsmere and Bay Ridge and Bay Ridge.
Yep, just about.
I think, 914 Forest, is that the?
912. Forest Drive.
912 Forest Drive will be most likely an essential business should we ever move into a shelter-in-place or a shutdown. And as I always say, a very surprising store when you really look around and see what's in it. And an essential piece of business here in Annapolis for sure.
Thanks very much. I appreciate the kind words.
All right, thanks, Jared. Keep doing it.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
All right, bye.
What was that noise?
That was my alert that you were going on too long.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
he does do a great job.
Are you bringing Denise on?
No.
So why did I have to hang up?
Because she's calling right now.
Hello, Denise.
Hello.
Hey, this is John Fernay, and I've got Tim Hamilton here. How are you?
Hey, Denise.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. We're hanging in there, and I imagine you are as well. Denise is the owner of Paradise Float Spas. You're down in the heart of Eastport, right on Severn Avenue, right?
Hello.
I've done those floats. They are amazing, Denise. And your facility's awesome. If you have not done that, you've got to try it out. It is awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yes. Well, you are probably, as we move through this whole COVID situation, you are one of the definitions of a true small business. I mean, you are we've talked to Main and Market that said they had to lay off 39. I mean, you don't have anywhere close to 39 employees. I mean, it's probably you and a couple.
It's just me right now, yeah. So I haven't had to lay anybody off. That's the good part.
Well, but you're also not open.
Exactly. I had to lay myself off, I guess.
Which is, which is tough. And I mean, obviously, you've got rent to pay, you've got, bills to pay, and hopefully, as Comptroller Franchot said, he's really pushing hard for some sort of a pause or a reset button that banks and landlords and mortgage companies and utilities can all say, by a governor's order, say, hey, okay, you need to pause payments for 3 months or whatever it may be, to allow people to get back on their feet. I mean, were you forced to close under the governor's orders, or was that just a choice that you made?
So it was a little bit questionable about where I fit in the order, because originally it came out saying health spas and aquatic centers had to shut down.
Okay.
Along with gymnasiums. And then there was some guidance about, well, if it's just one person, one-on-one person, then maybe I don't. And, float centers, there's not so many of us around. So I had to really kind of make a judgment call that, I'm in the wellness business. And so knowing that the infection can be passed before anybody even realizes it, I do not want to be a vector to my clients, and in that case, if I have it, who knows if I do or not. But so yeah, I had to do that. I have customers that are in the medical field, and that would be horrible if I was to pass that on to them or whatever. So I'm just trying to help with keeping that curve flat.
Well, that's
doing my part.
That's so admirable, and more people really need to do that. And I know Governor Hogan was very, very clear the other day. Said, "Hey, if you don't want to follow these rules, just be aware that you're breaking the law." And
it's a hard decision when you got bills to pay and you got the lease to pay, and so we understand for small businesses, it's an incredibly difficult decision. Yeah.
I'm really hoping that the Comptroller Franchot will actually come through with some help, and that would be beneficial, because soon we're going to see the inundation at hospitals, and it's just going to be a very sad situation.
Well, in terms of rumors that I have heard, and I don't mean to pass any on, but I mean it's a fairly well substantiated one. But I mean typically in downturns and incidents like this, emergencies, that the big companies get the bailouts, and this will fire Tim up, but the airlines will get the bailouts, and the cruise lines will get the bailouts and whatnot. And small businesses are so much more impacted. And as the comptroller mentioned, I mean the percentage of commerce that is run by small businesses, and that would be the Denise Pearsons from Paradise Boat Club, that would be the Jeff Jacobs from Carroll's. I mean, it would be, all of these is just astronomical, but there is supposed to be some relief coming down from the federal government in a small business type of a / bailout. We don't know what it's going to look like. Certainly the SBA has let out some emergency funding and emergency loans. But again, that's a loan. Yes, it's great. It's low interest. It can be up to 30 years. But it's such a difficult decision for a business owner to turn around and say, does this make sense? I mean, am I just digging myself deeper? And,
yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's so many difficult questions to do. Are you doing gift cards? Are you selling stuff as we're able to?
Yeah, I do. I do sell gift cards online. So, they don't expire. So people can feel free that feel confident that I'm going to be back, and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, and the what's your website again? Is it ParadiseFloatSpa.com? Okay, and that's just spa singular.
Right.
And Severn, you're on the you face the Mercedes dealership on Severn Avenue, right?
Yeah, right next to the Blackwell Hitch. Right
next to Blackwell Hitch.
Yep.
And it's amazing. What people don't know, what it is that you go in and there's they're like large bathtubs, large shallow bathtubs, and they're filled with water and tons of Epsom salt. And
1,000 pounds.
1,000 pounds, and you get in, and it's very private, very secluded, and you float in the darkness, and the water is the same temperature as your skin, so you don't feel the water. You can project stars on the ceiling if you'd like, and you're completely buoyant because of the salt, and it is amazing for you. It's great for your mental well-being. They've done some great studies on it, but I'm a big fan of this. Yeah, I've told so many people about this. And
if you ever wanted to feel what it's like to be a cork in the ocean, that's the place to go, right?
Kind of.
It's amazing.
Kind of, or an astronaut in space. You never know where your head's going to go. But it's really good for the immune system. So I was really hoping to be more of a help in the community with that, because everybody's immune system really needs to be on point right now. And so I'm sad about that.
But once we get through this, everyone's got to go down and try it. It is amazing. Makes a great gift too. I got a gift card for it.
That's well, I think that you are the person that is really the face of true small business. I applaud your bravery and your fortitude in going through and sticking this out, and hopefully we can just all pray that this gets over fairly quickly. That that we're closed for a couple weeks or maybe a couple months at the most. But if it gets beyond that, it's just going to be so difficult. And again, the thing is, small businesses need to be supported, and that's Denise Pearson at Paradise Float Spa. That's the main market. Anybody that we've talked to here, but the T-shirt shop on Main Street, the jeweler, everybody is struggling, and as this disease really knows no bounds between race, religion, age, gender, or anything like that, it's equally impacting every business, whether it be from the corporate behemoths that run the big box stores down to the little tiny mom and pops on Main Street. And where we can do that, one thing I do encourage everybody, if you're going to go to Amazon to try to buy something, look online first and see if you've got some local stores that have the same product and buy it there, because that dollar goes a lot further right here on Main Street or Chesapeake Avenue or wherever the heck you're spending it than it does up at Seattle or wherever the hell Amazon's based out of. And when we get through on the backside of this, you've got to make sure that we get out and we do support the local businesses. I know I was talking with somebody that owns an entertainment venue, and they said, I don't know whether we're going to be able to see that come back. And I was like, well, I said, people will want to get out when this is all over and done with. I mean, they may not be spending quite what they're spending until they get fully recovered, but they will be out. There will be a pent-up thing, and I'm confident that on the other side there's a different thing that we can be. We're going to be stronger, and hopefully we'll be a little bit more prepared for something like this if it ever come back again.
Right.
But
absolutely.
All right, Denise. Well, thank you so much for coming on and hanging there. We know it's tough, and it was a tough decision. And I just want to encourage everyone to once we muscle our way through this, you got to go down and float. Got to do it. It's amazing. It will change your life.
Thank you, John.
Denise.
All right. Thanks, Denise. We'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Did we get a call?
We did. It was actually someone was a little ahead of time, Camario, and I told him that we would call him after we hear from Jeff Jacobs.
Okay.
So
and we're waiting for Jeff Jacobs from Carroll's Creek. And again, business has been around for 35 years, and then some. Actually, they celebrated their 35th anniversary. I think it was last year.
Great. They have a great brunch there. Just absolutely amazing.
They do.
That was the first brunch I ever had in Annapolis, and it's incredible.
They do. Hello, this is John.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Jeff, how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing great. It's been a great podcast so far.
I was just talking about your incredible brunch. You're the first brunch we ever had when we moved to Annapolis back in '98, and it's just spectacular.
Well, that's great
among other things.
Thank you.
Well, we wanted to, we asked if you could come up and talk about this because you have made the horrible, gut-wrenching decision to close temporarily, as all these stores are during this COVID-19 virus outbreak. And it's got to be really difficult because you've got a stable of employees that have been there. And I know when we talked on a podcast about a year and a half back when you were celebrating your 35th, I mean, you've got employees that have been there decades.
We do. We've got, I've got a couple employees that have been with us over 30 years. And just a lot of long-term staff. And, in reference to the closure, I was actually comfortable and kind of glad when Governor Hogan made the decision. I agree with it. And it helped me not have to see our business slide into where I was laying people off one by one or in groups, this just kind of made it across the board, and I didn't have to really try to figure out who I was going to hold on to and what we were going to do. So,
or second guess yourself either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of the Band-Aid off of pulling the Band-Aid off real quickly. But, one of the things Tim had mentioned that he was talking to Bob Crone, who owns the Hideaway in Odenton and the new Julep over there by Outback Steakhouse, is just how gut-wrenching it was to have to do this. And, you've, by no fault of your own or really anybody's fault, you've got employees that now don't have an income. And obviously we've got, uninsurance or unemployment insurance, and there may be some resources that are coming down. But you guys have done something a little bit differently. I mean, you guys are accepting gift orders or gift card orders online. And
correct.
And you are trying as best you can to help your employees.
We are. I mean, my first thought of all this was what's going to happen to my employees and how are they going to get through this. So my partner in the business, my father, and I discussed what we were going to do. And one of the first things we did was we paid out all of our employees all their sick time. Just one lump sum.
Nice.
We ran after Monday, we knew our payroll was done, which would normally be the next Friday, but we said we can just go ahead and run this right now, pay out everybody's all their hours accrued. And, they need the money and they need it now. And so that was the first thing that we could do. And then I, saw that a lot of people were around social media talking about supporting restaurants and how can they do that. And a lot of people were saying about buying gift cards. So, again, with my partner and I, we discussed, we wanted to, how can we support our employees? And I came up with that I wanted to donate back now until we reopen. 25% of all of our gift card sales are all going into a fund that I set up for our staff. And so we can do that all online. E-gift cards are able to be done and emailed. And we've got just such an overpouring of people that have contacted us for our staff,
awesome.
For me and my business. And some people said, how can we just donate directly? We've got our favorite servers. We understand what they're going through. So I even put a little donation button on the page where you purchase gift certificates.
Fantastic. And
the response has been overwhelming just from an email that I sent out to all of our customers and social media that started on Wednesday with that with those things.
You guys have been a restaurant that is like family. I mean, you've been around forever. Figuratively in Annapolis. I mean, you've been a fixture right there on Spot Creek. You've listened to your customers. You've listened. I know last year you went nut free, which I've jokingly said is the the way you serve food, not the people that work there or patronize your place. But and that was that was something that was a very expensive and extensive type of a shift that you do. And I mean, I think you're only one of a couple in Maryland that do that. But people do think of their favorite restaurants as family, and it's not surprising to me that you would see people step up and do something like that with donating to your fund for your employees.
Yeah, I mean, the whole nut free thing would center around one of my children, and we just felt it was something that we could do. It really wouldn't change the status of the restaurant or the type of restaurant that we were doing, and that's just another place where we felt it was good for the community, people that have these challenges of where to be able to feed their kids, and adults have these allergies also. But it's all being part of the community, and we feel blessed to be there for so long, for now 37 years.
37? Okay. Yeah. Well, one thing I will say to everybody that's listening is that anytime you've gone to a function, whether it may be a PTA thing or maybe it's an auction or an event or something like that, and you see gift cards or gift certificates donated, whether it be from Carroll's Creek or from any Zachary's Jewelers or any business, okay? These businesses stand up for our community 24/7, 365. And they're always giving. I mean, Buddies, do we need a gift card for Buddies? Yeah, absolutely. Here it is. And, I know that you support plenty of different things. I know during your 35th anniversary, you donated, and I can't remember what the amount was, but it was maybe it was $35,000.
It was.
To local charities. So my message to everybody here is that remember, these are the businesses that supported the little baseball team and the little PTA fundraiser and everything else like that, and get in there and give back to them. And this is where they really need us. And it doesn't matter whether it's a restaurant, it doesn't matter whether it's a service business or whether it's a retail business. If they're able to do it, buy a gift card if you're able to do it. I mean, don't go bankrupt doing it, but to do that. And you look at responsible business owners, like Jeff, that's turning around and, absolutely, I'm sure you're not sleeping at night because you've laid off your entire staff. But you're trying as best you can to be able to make it as easy for them as possible.
Exactly.
So that's sort of my message there. I do, as I've said with everybody, I hope that this shutdown is very short-lived and doesn't go too much longer.
And Jeff, seriously, thanks for looking out for your employees. I mean, I know we were talking to Bob, and his first priority, I think probably like you, was his employees. And that was the first thing he was worrying about. And I know you guys have businesses to run, but to me, I'm really having a deeper understanding of how you guys feel about your employees, and that is your biggest worry. And
well, we as owners, we can't do it by ourselves. It takes them. It takes their heart and soul to come to work every day and do what they love to do. And it's a two-way street.
Well,
without a doubt. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Best of luck to you. I can't wait to get back in. Best French onion soup in town.
I've never had that. I love French onion.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's spot on.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We look forward to seeing everyone soon.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for everything.
Take care, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Man, it's funny. We talk about small business all the time, and just, you go, I worry about it. Then you talk to the individual ones, and like every person we talk to, I know they're hanging up and they're pacing the floor. Their stomach's hurting. It's kind of
it is
putting a face to it.
They're not sleeping at night.
I'm not feeling better after this.
No, but we've got to come together as a community on that. Are you calling Camario back?
They're calling Camario back. Camario called just a couple minutes ago, a little early, so I said I would call him back.
Camario is a server from 49 West, and apparently he's a very aggressive server because he called earlier. So if anybody is hiring, maybe we'll get him to give his email address or something like that.
I hope that's the right number. This could be embarrassing.
Yeah. Do all of his numbers start with 900?
Well, maybe it's not the right one. Boy, that'd be embarrassing. Just
the suspense is killing me.
Just want to call random people.
Did you text him?
Back in? Yeah.
Okay, we'll text him back and say there. Again, just to reiterate some of the resources that you can get.
Hello, Kamario Balfan speaking.
Wow,
Hey.
That's formal. Kamario.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. It's Tim and John from the Maryland Crabs podcast. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Well, thank you to the actually the comptroller's office gave us your number to talk to,
Oh, great.
and you are a server at 49 West, right?
Oh, yes, correct. I've been here for 2 years now, actually.
Okay, and I'm going into last Monday. You were just doing your job, doing your thing, and it came to a halt.
Yeah, pretty much. Just found out. Well, there was actually a little bit of a warning about not this past Thursday, but a Thursday before that, shows in our back room were being canceled, and you can definitely tell within that week that business was very slow. So you saw it slowing down, but I didn't think that, or no one assumed that we were going to be shut down indefinitely as fast as it all happened.
Yeah, we thought it'd be kind of weeks, and it turned out just to be a couple days. It all just fell apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, actually. It's been kind of hard for the past few days, actually. Just the shock of not being able to wake up and go to work in the morning. That's kind of depressing a little bit sometimes, and just running out of money pretty fast, actually, because you never had the chance to save up or whatever. Because being a server in the industry, you're working from day to day, so you're living from day to day with money that you're making to save for rent and for food.
Right.
And if you have kids or pets, you're saving, using that money to get them food and just little necessities of life. So, the gas money for people that have cars and stuff like that. So it's been kind of hard, yeah. But yeah.
What are you doing to help make ends meet? I mean, are you aware of all the different things that are available for you? I mean, we talked to Scott Shelton, who has a food pantry, and there's a no questions asked. I mean, if you need something there, and this is so difficult. You mentioned that you worked, you sometimes can work day to day, and I talked to a server the other day who was saying, there's a lot of servers that you hear this phrase, "I work paycheck to paycheck," they say, "No, I work shift to shift."
Right, exactly.
Which is, just devastating to think about that. Hey, I need the, $200 I make tomorrow to make the rent today.
Exactly.
I mean, are you taking advantage? Are you aware of the different?
I actually am. Actually am. But I am actually very fortunate that I have friends that have. Called me up or hit me up on Facebook. It's hey, if you need anything, let me know.
That's cool.
And I've had two great friends actually that have actually brought food to my door, and that have actually got dog food for my pup, which has been very helpful. So I'm actually set for a good bit of time now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's really great to know that I have a community of people that care about me. And that if I'm in dire need and they're able to give, that they're able to do that for me. And if I'm in a position that I'm able to give, I will. I would sure do that for them also. So we are a community of people, and we just try to help each other out. That's the best we can do.
Out of all the phone calls we've taken over the last hour and a half, yours is the one that actually makes me feel the most hopeful.
Yeah.
Everything else has been just grim, dire news, and you're out of work and you're community, we can do it, we can pull through. You're actually making me feel better.
We are. Yeah, we are a community and we care for each other. You know what I mean? And so this whole thing is definitely impacting the small businesses, all. The restaurant industry, all the customer service industries. It's affecting the local musicians. So just help your people out if you can, even if it's $1 you can give out, to help them out. That's going to be what we need to do. And I know it's going to be hard for people staying home, but if you are a musician or if you're an artist, this is this is like our renaissance. This is our time to create our best art. You know what I mean? So I think the best songs and the best art are probably going to come out of this time.
Dude, you're making me feel really good right now. I needed this.
Thank you.
I'm serious.
I agree with this. And one thing you talked about the different community, and that's one thing that is, and somebody calling you up, and that's so important to everybody that's listening, is talk to your friends and your neighbors, and just a phone call. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, checking on them.
I heard a friend of mine that was just sounding just a little bit downer than he normally would be, and it was just like, hey, dude, how you doing? And that may be all it can have. If you can learn to help, if you can help somebody, Mario, you've got Tim and my phone number. If we can help you, give us a call. You talked about music, and one thing I've seen in the last couple of days is flourishment is as these artists get canceled, is they're going online and they're doing house party or house concerts.
Yeah. Gosh, yes.
Crowded House did one the other night. It was awesome.
There is a Facebook page locally called Annapolis Streaming or Annapolis Stream, one of the two. Find it. And musicians can post their live Facebook things. And what they're doing is they're taking busking online. Okay, they're no longer being hired to play in the back room at 49 West or at opening up for a band at the Ram's Head on stage or up at Metropolitan or any of the local bars. They're playing in their living room. They're playing their hearts out. And as you said, they're probably writing really great stuff and performing really great stuff. And they do have whether you can Venmo them some cash or some Cash App or whatever it may be to help them. I would point out that as far as musicians go, you've got amfm.org, which is the organization that helps support musicians in times like this. Obviously, they're going to be very well taxed as far as being able to help every musician. But, this is, we've got to rethink a different way to make ends meet. And I think that, your attitude, we need more of it.
Yeah, thank you.
We ought to get Governor Hogan, have you come out and stand next to him or something like that and talk after him instead of like the head of the schools or something like that. But I think that, we are going to get through it. And I think that you really sort of give us some hope.
Exactly. Yeah. Just support your local musicians, support your local businesses, or support your friends that are in need. Like, even if it's like it's not handshakes.
Right. Fist bumps and elbow touches.
Exactly. The virtual handshakes, are going to have to do for now. But just like show love, and just make sure that you let everyone know that you're there for them, and they're going to be there for you also. It's a hard road, but we're all in this together. And as long as we have each other and have faith that it's going to work out in the long run, I think we'll be okay.
This guy.
Yeah, seriously. And I would say also when we're all on the other side of this thing, you turn around and when you run into Camario at 49 West, tip big.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy that was given spot on advice in the what potentially could be some pretty dark days, and with the upbeat attitude, and I admire you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And just, let's be good to each other, guys.
All right.
And that's all I ask for.
Hey, Camario, thanks so much. And when this is all done, go visit Camario down at 49 West, and thank him for the pep talk.
Without a doubt.
Take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks, Camario. Great talking to you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. I love that guy.
Unbelievable.
He makes me feel kind of shitty about my attitude.
Yeah, he's...
But, he makes a great point, and this is beyond, I'm just, as he's talking, I'm making a list in my head of, like, people that I probably should be checking in on that I haven't, because I've been so self-involved and just bouncing off walls, and maybe that's a good distraction, is to kind of reach out to people, like, our old piano teacher, she's in her 70s, and she's alone in Eastport. I got to give her a call, see if she needs any help.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Go to distract yourself. It's just, helping other people.
No, do that. And as we wrap up, we were here almost 2 hours on this. So this is about what we felt it was going to be.
Yep.
I hate, it seems weird to say this, but listen to the government.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to have the right information that are coming here that's going to keep you safe. and the right recommendations to keep you and continue to keep you safe.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone who called in today. It went remarkably well, considering. And thanks to everyone who's watching and who's posted links and comments. Sofo Annapolis and Susan O'Brien and Lee Hurt, and among other people. There's some people I missed, but they have some great links in the comments beneath it on Facebook.
So scroll through those.
Yeah, scroll through, and then we'll include some of this in the links and show notes. But you know what? But like I said before, take some time to turn this off. Take some time to just escape from this. Turn off the news. Stop listening to the podcast. I know you're going to strangle your family, but try and find something constructive. Get outside. But I have learned over the last week that I've handled this badly in so much as I've just been immersed in this, and we can't sustain that.
I've been trying to get out every day to ride my bike in quiet waters.
Yeah, it's smart.
To get the breezes flowing, through my head and smelling some fresh air.
Right.
Check on your neighbors. Check on your friends. Just ask them how they're doing. And before you click that Amazon link, think about whether you could possibly click a link to a local small business.
Yeah.
And help them out. There's a couple of options we found here today. There's plenty that are around. I will be putting some up on Iron Annapolis throughout this whole thing as we go.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a post actually with sort of concise listing of just really solid links and resources as opposed, because there is a lot of noise that's out there.
Yeah, well, it'll all settle. Like the first week we were all in a panic, and we are all in a panic. Now it's starting to settle. Now we take a breath and just say, okay, we're in this for a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
Right. So how are we going to do this? Just everyone calm down. Stop panic buying. We're going to need stuff, but just calm down. I know it's scary. I'm scared too, but we got to get a grip here.
Yeah, we do. The panic buying is crazy. Listen to Governor Hogan. He said, just stop it. The supply chain is fine. Jared Littman said that he has no concerns about what he's getting in. So we are going to be fine. We're going to be see it on the tail end. And if you don't think so, back this thing up about 4 minutes and listen to Camario.
Yeah, I like that guy.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home.